How did you come to write this book, and why specifically Kenya?
So I worked for a number of years in the field of international human rights. And at the time of the post-election violence in Kenya in 2007, 2008, I was struck by the fact that because so much of the violence had been perpetrated by the Kenyan police, my colleagues immediately jumped to offering very prescriptive solutions for Kenya, one of the core ones being police reform. And if you think about it, 2007, 2008 was exactly when the US Military Command for Africa, or AFRICOM, was getting off the ground. And I was consistently asking questions of my colleagues, what sense does it make to be promoting police reform if at the very same time Kenyan police are getting training in counterinsurgency strategy from the US military and are on the receiving end of considerable amounts of pressure from the US to police, surveil, track down so-called terrorists?
Yeah.
And that was a question that my colleagues were not really interested in engaging with because that was a question of geopolitics, right? And human rights supposedly has nothing to do with geopolitics, a lie.
Gosh.
And so that prompted me to want to think about what it would mean to put Kenya and the United States in a single analytic frame, to be thinking about imperial entanglements. How does the Kenyan state navigate the kind of pressure that it comes under from the United States? How does it pursue, if and when it can, its own interests in the context? So I really wanted to bring the US into the conversation and push back against the tendency among scholars of East Africa to only study dynamics in the region through primarily the lens of the nation state. At the same time, I didn't want to over attribute so much power and influence to the US. And I wanted to account for the significance of Kenyan history and, for lack of a better word, agency.